you don't know what happens in those four walls, and you don't know the papers that get signed, and you don't know the conversations that are being had. So the best thing that we can do is not to meet ride for our teams. So recognizing the NFL as a business, man. Again, I try to I try to always keep an open mind about every single team, even my team. Even in college, y'all rarely see me meet riding for my team at all. I'm not the highest on Trevor Lawrence. Didn't like our draft whatsoever. I'm not the highest on Jordan Travis this year because I had two bad seasons with him and him splitting snaps with Mackenzie Milton, who was not playing college football for 2 years. And last year, he had a lackluster game. That whole team had a lackluster game against Louisville, who ended up not doing anything. So with all that being said, we have to recognize, no, I'm not going to get into it, man. I'm just saying, we have to recognize that at the end of the day, the NFL is a business. And I know me and Megan were talking about this the other day with the Russell Wilson thing. We got to separate how we feel about certain people and certain players because we really don't know what goes on between those four walls. From all accounts, Russell Wilson is a really good guy. How he may have handled his business might have been a direct result of whatever the Seahawks are doing too. People give you opportunities, but when you present them back with results, you can't be mad when somebody says, hey, I want to get paid a little bit more. I want to get paid what I'm worth. No matter how much we don't like money, most of us here have jobs and responsibilities that we have to take care of on a daily basis. And when we feel like that we're not getting compensated the way that we are while bringing people results, yes, relationships get fractured. Decisions get made that you don't necessarily intend on making. And the same thing goes with like somebody like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers for years was screaming, can you get me some help? They drafted defensive player after defensive player after defensive player. And even again, Lucas Van Ness was drafted this year on that defense. So and then you get rid of his best receiver. So what do you think was going to happen? It's a business. No hard feelings. Goes over to the next team. Even takes a pay cut. It depends. It just depends on the person. Some things are mental health stuff that you just want to be in a better mindset and in a better situation. Other things are, I want to get paid or I want to get treated in a way that I feel like I'm getting help. The reason why I left my last job wasn't because of the culture. It wasn't because of my boss. It was because I needed help in my position. And I wanted to move on somewhere that was going to actually support that idea. And lo and behold, I have a teammate that I'm splitting work with now that it doesn't feel so much like a one-man job, and that feels better. It's the same thing with this. As fans, we have to separate this stuff. We have to stop reading into it so much. We have to stop thinking that I have to hate this specific person because he's going to another team without. If you're not within those four walls, I would say some of the hate that we throw towards players and coaches and things like that are kind of unwarranted. Now, the guys that get into domestic disputes and all that other stuff, that's one thing. But this is one of those things where it's like you got to take a step back and recognize the things that are going on. And one of those things are you don't know what happens in those four walls, and you don't know the papers that get signed, and you don't know the conversations that are being had. So the best thing that we can do is not to meet ride for our teams and think that every situation, because the media portrays it that way, is a witch hunt on a player, or start witch hunting after that player as a fan and recognize what they did do for the team. Did they help my team win? Did they bring us a championship? Yes. I should be grateful for this person. And start pointing the finger back at the organization and say, what did you guys do? Nobody ever knows. Players leave all the time. When the Jaguars got rid of Miles Jack, I was a little salty about it. But again, I was okay. Because I don't know what happens throughout those four walls. I just know he was one of my favorite players on the Jaguars, and he ended up going to the Steelers, and then the Steelers ended up letting him go. So we could speculate all day, but we have to recognize that the NFL is a business. Regardless of what people think, they got to make their money, and they have to make the decisions and tough decisions that a lot of us don't have to make, especially being a GM. But we'll see.